Welcome, seekers of truth. The world is not as it seems, and neither are you. A shadow does not exist without the light to define it. You may think you're watching this by chance, but in a reality woven by unseen forces, nothing is accidental. Today, we unravel a deception so profound that even the chosen ones, those set apart by divine purpose, have been contaminated, not by disease, but by something far more insidious. Before we dive in, if you're ready to challenge the illusion, subscribe. Truth is a journey, and this is your first step. The chosen ones don't fall to physical sickness, but to something worse, a virus of perception. The enemy doesn't need to chain your body when he can enslave your thoughts. The most dangerous attacks are not the ones you see, but the ones you don't recognize. A poisoned mind will never seek an antidote because it doesn't realize it has been infected. This is the most effective strategy: to convince the chosen ones that their condition is normal, that the lies they have accepted are truth, and that the feelings of limitation, confusion, and despair are part of their identity rather than symptoms of an attack. The infection begins in the mind, where it takes root through false narratives. Many have been convinced that their weaknesses define them. They hear the voice of doubt so often that they believe it is their own. They have been trained to fear their own instincts, to second-guess their calling, and to mistake hesitation for wisdom. The chosen ones were given a divine purpose, but they have been infected with hesitation and fear, making them question their abilities, their worth, and their place in the grand design. The enemy knows that if the chosen ones ever fully awaken to who they are, the battle will shift instantly. So, the most strategic move is to keep them questioning, hesitating, and believing they are powerless. How does this infection spread? It works through culture, through media, through whispers of discouragement, and through subtle manipulations that are so gradual that they seem insignificant. A lie repeated enough times becomes an internal voice. When someone is told that they are weak, unworthy, or incapable, they may resist at first. But over time, as the narrative is reinforced from multiple angles, it becomes part of their belief system. They begin to self-sabotage, to shrink back, to conform to a life much smaller than the one they were meant to live. The infection in the mind is not about intelligence. It is about perception. Even the most brilliant minds can be deceived if their perception has been subtly altered. The key to breaking free is recognizing the virus for what it is, an intentional strategy designed to neutralize the chosen ones before they realize their true power. Once the illusion is shattered, the healing can begin. A soldier who doesn't know he's at war never picks up his sword. The chosen ones have not been physically restrained, but they have been sedated. Not with chains, but with distractions, entertainment, and a constant flood of noise that keeps them from hearing the call. They have been made passive, lulled into a sense of comfort that is actually captivity. The enemy doesn't need to destroy them if he can simply keep them too distracted to step into their mission. The modern world is engineered for distraction. The chosen ones are fed an endless stream of information, designed not to educate, but to keep them occupied. Every moment of silence is filled with artificial stimulation. Social media, entertainment, obligations, and trivial worries all are carefully placed to ensure that the chosen ones are always reacting, never reflecting. This is a silent war, where the most effective weapon is not an attack, but an overload. How do you recognize this tactic? It manifests as constant exhaustion, as a sense that time is slipping away, but nothing of value is being built. It appears as an inability to focus, a restless mind that jumps from one thing to the next, never landing long enough to gain clarity. It is the reason so many chosen ones feel like they are drowning in responsibilities, yet accomplishing nothing of true meaning. The weight of distraction is heavy, yet invisible. Many chosen ones believe they are simply overwhelmed, that they need to manage their time better, that they are failing because they are not strong enough. But the truth is far more insidious. They have been deliberately placed in a system that ensures they will never have the clarity to recognize the battle they are in. The infection works by keeping them exhausted, entertained, and too busy to question their own stagnation. To break free, the chosen ones must reclaim their attention. They must become intentional about what they allow into their minds, what they give their time to, and what they focus on. True power is found in clarity, and clarity only comes when the noise is silenced. Not all burdens are yours to carry, and not every mission is yours to complete. One of the greatest deceptions is convincing the chosen ones to pour their energy into the wrong battles. Many believe they are fulfilling their purpose, when in reality, they are exhausting themselves on assignments they were never meant to take. If the enemy cannot stop them, he will misdirect them. The infection of the counterfeit calling manifests in different ways. Some chosen ones are burdened by responsibilities that drain them but do not grow them. They feel obligated to help, to fix, to solve problems that were never theirs to carry. They mistake busyness for purpose, exhausting themselves on battles that do not move them closer to their divine assignment. Others chase validation, seeking approval in the wrong places, trying to prove their worth through achievements that were never meant to define them. A counterfeit calling always feels important, but it never brings fulfillment. It keeps the chosen ones trapped in cycles of striving, but never arriving. They feel like they are doing everything right, yet something is missing. They achieve success, but feel empty. They work tirelessly, but see no real impact. This is because they are fighting the wrong war. How does one escape this deception? By identifying the difference between calling and obligation. Calling brings life, even in difficulty. Obligation drains, even in moments of success. The chosen ones must learn to discern between battles they are meant to fight and distractions disguised as duty. Not everything that demands attention deserves it. The enemy is not afraid of chosen ones who are busy. He is afraid of those who are aligned. When the chosen ones recognize their true calling and strip away the unnecessary, they become unstoppable. But as long as they remain scattered, chasing false assignments, they will remain weakened. One of the greatest deceptions is making the chosen believe they are alone. Isolation is a tactic, not a condition. It is not the absence of people, but the illusion that no one understands, that no one sees, that no one is walking the same path. The enemy does not need to remove the chosen from their mission. He only needs to make them believe that they are the only ones left standing. This illusion takes root subtly. It begins with rejection, with the experience of being different, of not fitting into the world. The chosen ones often walk a lonely road, not because they are unwanted, but because their journey is different. However, what starts as separation for a purpose can be twisted into a false belief of abandonment. They begin to internalize the idea that they are alone, that no one else understands their struggles, that their battles are theirs to fight without support. This is where the infection spreads. Once a person believes they are isolated, they begin to retreat further. They stop seeking out others who might share their vision. They withdraw from community, from mentorship, from relationships that could strengthen them. They become trapped in their own minds, where doubt and fear thrive unchecked. Isolation is not just physical. It is mental, emotional, and spiritual. And the longer one remains in this illusion, the harder it becomes to see the truth. But the truth is this: the chosen ones are never alone. Just because the army is not visible does not mean it is not marching. There are others, spread across the world, fighting the same battles, facing the same doubts, awakening to the same truths. They are hidden, not because they do not exist, but because their paths have not yet intersected. The enemy wants the chosen ones to believe they are outnumbered because isolation breeds despair. But the moment they realize they are part of something greater, the illusion shatters. How does one break free from this manufactured loneliness? By seeking connection with intention. By understanding that the journey of the chosen is not meant to be walked alone. It requires effort to find the others, to align with those who see beyond the surface, to build relationships that strengthen rather than drain. The chosen ones must remember that the isolation is a lie, and that the moment they recognize it, they can step into a greater alliance than they ever imagined. If the enemy can rename you, he can redefine you. The chosen ones are being infected with false identities, labels that strip them of their divine authority. They have been convinced that they are ordinary, that they are powerless, that they are not who they were created to be. This is not a random attack. It is a deliberate strategy. If you do not know who you are, you will never step into what you were meant to become. Identity theft does not happen overnight. It is a slow erosion. It starts in childhood, in the moments when words are spoken that plant seeds of doubt. It continues through experiences that reinforce the lie. Society, culture, and even the expectations of others contribute to the deception, shaping the chosen ones into a version of themselves that is acceptable but not authentic. They are told to be realistic, to fit in, to follow the path laid out for them. And in doing so, they forget their true nature. This is why so many chosen ones feel lost, disconnected, as though they are searching for something they cannot name. The infection of identity theft is not just about forgetting who they are. It is about accepting a lesser version of themselves. They settle for a life that does not match their calling. They believe they are just like everyone else, that their uniqueness is a weakness rather than a strength. The enemy knows that as long as the chosen ones believe they are ordinary, they will never rise to their true potential. But the truth is, identity is not something that can be stolen. It can only be forgotten. And what has been forgotten can be remembered. The process of reclaiming identity starts with unlearning the lies, with rejecting the false labels that have been placed upon them. The chosen ones must ask themselves, who told me I was not enough? Who convinced me I had to shrink? Who made me believe that my voice did not matter? Once the infection of false identity is recognized, it loses its power. The chosen ones do not need to create a new identity. They need to remember the one they were given from the beginning. When they do, everything shifts. Their posture changes. Their confidence returns. Their authority is restored. They no longer seek validation from the world because they understand they were never meant to fit into it. Not all sleep is rest. Many of the chosen ones are not weak. They are simply asleep, lulled into a spiritual coma. The infection sedates rather than destroys, keeping the warriors of light unconscious while darkness advances. The chosen ones were never defeated. They were merely put to sleep. And the longer they remain in this state, the harder it becomes to wake up. This sleep is not physical, but spiritual. It manifests as a lack of urgency, a feeling of being stuck, a strange sense that time is passing, but nothing is truly changing. It is a condition of passivity where the chosen ones continue to exist, but have stopped truly living. The world around them moves, but they are disconnected from their purpose. They feel exhausted, not from action, but from inaction. They wonder why they are tired, even though they have done nothing of true significance. This is not a coincidence. The chosen ones have been lulled into a sleep where they no longer resist, no longer fight, no longer question. They accept life as it is, rather than seeking the life they were meant to live. The infection works by convincing them that they are fine, that there is no urgency, that they can wake up later. But later never comes. And as long as they remain asleep, the world continues without them. How does one wake up? By recognizing the signs. The chosen ones must ask themselves, am I truly alive, or am I merely existing? Am I moving with purpose, or am I being carried by routine? The awakening begins the moment they decide to open their eyes, to question everything, to refuse to remain passive. The battle has never been about survival. It has always been about awakening. The chosen ones do not need to be stronger. They do not need more time. They only need to wake up. Because once they do, everything changes. The infection whispers that you are unworthy, that you are too broken, too flawed, too weak to carry the mantle set aside for you. It makes you believe that every mistake, every failure, every imperfection disqualifies you from stepping into your purpose. It convinces you that you must be perfect before you can be powerful, that you must be free of scars before you can lead. But the truth is the exact opposite. The very evidence of your battle scars is proof that you were made for war. Your wounds do not disqualify you, they anoint you. The chosen ones have been infected with the fear of being seen as imposters. They doubt their calling, question their abilities, and feel as though they are frauds, even when walking in their purpose. This is because the infection makes them compare themselves to unrealistic standards. They look at others and assume those who came before them had more clarity, more strength, more preparation. They do not realize that every warrior of light has battled the same doubts, fought the same internal wars, and felt the same moments of uncertainty. This infection is so effective because it works through logic. It feeds on self-awareness and twists it into self-doubt. The chosen ones are often highly perceptive, able to see their own flaws with brutal clarity. The infection magnifies these flaws, making them believe that because they can see their weaknesses, they are unfit for their calling. But what they fail to see is that awareness is not a curse. It is a gift. Those who understand their own struggles have the greatest ability to lead others through theirs. The enemy's greatest fear is not a chosen one without flaws. It is a chosen one who embraces their flaws and moves forward anyway. The infection of imposter syndrome is shattered the moment the chosen ones recognize the lie. That perfection was never the requirement. They were never chosen because they were perfect. They were chosen because they were willing. And when they finally step into that truth, the fear disappears. The infected chosen ones don't fear failure. they fear their own potential. The darkness doesn't need to convince them that they have no power. It only needs to convince them that their power is dangerous. The infection works by making them afraid of stepping fully into who they were meant to be. It plants the thought that if they rise too high, they will fall. That if they embrace their calling, they will lose control. That if they shine too brightly, they will be attacked. This fear is subtle but deeply rooted. It shows up as hesitation, as self-sabotage, as an unconscious resistance to stepping forward. The chosen ones make excuses, telling themselves they are not ready, that they need more time, more preparation, more certainty. They hold back, not because they do not believe in their calling, but because they do. They know deep down that stepping into their full potential will change everything, and that terrifies them. The infection makes them believe that power is a burden rather than a gift. It convinces them that greatness comes with consequences too heavy to bear. But the truth is that fear is the final gatekeeper. The moment they push past it, they realize that the power they were afraid of was never meant to destroy them. It was meant to free them. The fear does not mean they are not ready. It means they are standing at the threshold of transformation. The cure is simple: move forward anyway. Fear is a liar, and its only power is in convincing the chosen ones to stop. But once they stop listening, once they step forward despite the fear, they discover the truth. The power they were afraid of was always theirs to wield. If the enemy cannot destroy the chosen, he will exhaust them. Many chosen ones feel like they are drowning, but they are not dying. They are being drained. A soldier with no energy to fight is as good as defeated. The infection works through slow, relentless depletion. It does not attack all at once, but over time, through small moments of discouragement, through constant resistance, through battles that seem endless. This tactic is deadly because it does not appear as an attack. It feels like life. The chosen ones assume they are just tired, just overworked, just in a difficult season. They tell themselves they will regain their strength eventually, that they just need to push through. But they do not realize that they are being drained deliberately. The exhaustion is not natural. It is engineered. How does the infection drain them? Through constant battles that seem to have no end. Through relationships that deplete rather than restore. Through responsibilities that take but never give. The chosen ones feel as though they are always pouring out, but never being refilled. And eventually, they reach a breaking point where they no longer have the energy to fight. The only way to break free from this tactic is to recognize it for what it is. The chosen ones must learn to guard their energy, to protect their strength, to be intentional about where they invest their time. Not every battle is theirs to fight. Not every demand is theirs to meet. The cure for exhaustion is not more strength. It is better strategy. The chosen ones must learn to say no, to withdraw from what drains them, to realign with what fuels them. When they do, they find that their strength was never gone. It was simply being stolen. Every lie the infection feeds the chosen ones has a mirrored truth. Where it says they are powerless, they are dangerous. Where it says they are abandoned, they are watched over. Where it says they are failing, they are being refined. The infection thrives in deception, but deception cannot stand in the presence of truth. The cure is not found in a new revelation. but in the reversal of the lie that enslaved them. The enemy's greatest weapon is not destruction, it is distortion. The chosen ones do not need to become something new. They need to unlearn what was never true. They need to replace the false narratives with the truth that has always been within them. When they do, the infection loses its hold. The final step in healing is understanding that the battle was never external. It was always internal. The chosen ones were never truly infected. They were deceived into believing they were. And the moment they reject the deception, they reclaim their power. You were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to remain asleep. The infection has spread, but it can be undone. This is your awakening. The world doesn't change when the darkness is exposed. It changes when the light refuses to hide. The chosen ones are not weak. They are not broken. They are not lost. They have simply been tricked into believing they are. But now, the illusion is shattered. The awakening has begun. If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, subscribe, and step into your purpose. The battle isn't over, but neither are you.